Lena's Linguistic Leap, a Journey of Perseverance and Transformation. Chapter 1. A Daunting Challenge. Lena struggled to learn English. Lena stared out the window of the bus, watching the familiar streets of her neighborhood pass by. As the vehicle rumbled along, she couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. Today was the first day of her English class, and the thought of it filled her with a mix of anticipation and dread. At just 22 years old, Lena had already faced more challenges than most. Born in a small village in Central America, she had immigrated to the United States with her family, seeking a better life. But the transition had been anything but easy, and learning English had quickly become her greatest obstacle. Lena's fingers nervously played with the strap of her backpack as the bus approached the community college campus. Taking a deep breath, she stepped off the bus and made her way towards the classroom, her heart pounding in her chest. As Lena entered the room, she was immediately struck by the diversity of her classmates. Some were young like her, while others were older, with weathered faces that spoke of years of hard work and perseverance. Lena found an empty seat near the back and settled in, trying to make herself as inconspicuous as possible. The teacher, a kind-looking woman named Miss Garcia, stepped to the front of the class and greeted them with a warm smile. "Welcome, everyone," she said, her voice clear and confident. "I'm so glad to see you all here today, and I'm excited to embark on this journey of learning English together." As Miss Garcia began to introduce the course, Lena felt her anxiety start to rise. She had studied English in her home country, but the lessons had been theoretical, and she had never had the opportunity to practice speaking the language. Now, surrounded by her classmates, she felt woefully unprepared. When Miss Garcia asked the class to introduce themselves, Lena's heart raced. She knew she would have to speak, and the thought of it made her palms sweat. Slowly, one by one, her classmates stood and shared their names and a bit about themselves. Lena listened intently, trying to understand every word, but the unfamiliar sounds and rhythms of the language made it difficult. Finally, it was Lena's turn. She stood, her legs trembling, and cleared her throat. "Hello," she stammered, her accent thick and her words halting. "My name is Lena, and I am from Guatemala." She paused, struggling to find the right words. "I am here to learn English, and I am very excited to be in this class." Lena sat down, her face flushed with embarrassment. She could feel the eyes of her classmates on her, and she wondered if they had understood a single word she had said. Lena's confidence, which had already been fragile, seemed to crumble around her. As the class continued, Lena found herself increasingly lost. Miss Garcia spoke quickly, and the vocabulary she used was unfamiliar. Lena strained to listen, trying to pick out the words she recognized, but it was a constant battle to keep up. When the class finally ended, Lena gathered her things and hurried out of the room, her head down. She felt overwhelmed and defeated, her dreams of mastering English seeming more distant than ever. As Lena walked home, she couldn't help but wonder if she had made a mistake in coming to this class. The challenge of learning a new language seemed insurmountable, and she couldn't help but doubt her own abilities. But deep down, Lena knew that she couldn't give up. She had come too far, and the stakes were too high. Determined to overcome this obstacle, Lena made a silent vow to herself. She would work harder than ever before, and she would not rest until she had conquered the English language. With a newfound sense of purpose, she headed home, already planning her strategy for the next class. Chapter 2. Enter Miss Garcia, a guiding light. Lena's frustration with her limited English skills only grew with each passing day. She would sit in her English class, feeling increasingly self-conscious as her classmates effortlessly conversed and participated, while she struggled to find the right words. The simplest tasks, like ordering at a restaurant or asking for directions, had become daunting challenges that left her feeling isolated and discouraged. One day, as Lena was about to give up, a new teacher, Miss Garcia, entered the classroom. Unlike the previous instructors, Miss Garcia had a warm and inviting demeanor that immediately put Lena at ease. During the first lesson, Lena noticed a distinct difference in Miss Garcia's teaching approach. Rather than simply lecturing or drilling vocabulary, Miss Garcia engaged the students in interactive activities that focused on practical communication skills. She encouraged them to practice dialogues, role-play scenarios, and even share personal stories, all while gently correcting their mistakes and providing constructive feedback. Lena was particularly intrigued when Miss Garcia introduced the shadowing technique. Shadowing, she explained, is a powerful tool that can help you improve your pronunciation, fluency, and comprehension of English. The concept was simple. Students would listen to a recording of a native English speaker and repeat the words and phrases out loud, mimicking the speaker's intonation and rhythm. At first, Lena found the exercise challenging. She would stumble over unfamiliar words and struggle to keep up with the pace of the recording. But Miss Garcia was patient and encouraging, reminding Lena that mastering a new language takes time and practice. The key is to be consistent and persistent, Miss Garcia said. Shadowing may feel awkward at first, but it trains your brain to recognize and reproduce the patterns of English speech. Over time, it will become easier, and you'll start to notice improvements in your speaking and listening skills. Inspired by Miss Garcia's words, Lena decided to give the shadowing technique her full commitment. She began practicing at home, listening to audio recordings of news broadcasts, podcasts, and even her favorite TV shows. At first, it was a struggle, but Lena refused to give up. As the weeks passed, Lena could feel a subtle shift in her confidence. She noticed that she was better able to understand the flow of conversations, and her own speech became more natural and fluent. The once daunting task of ordering a meal or asking for directions now felt like a manageable challenge. During class, Miss Garcia would often call on Lena to participate in role-playing exercises or lead group discussions. Lena, who had previously shrunk back in her seat, now raised her hand eagerly, eager to put her newfound skills to the test. One day, after a particularly successful class discussion, Miss Garcia approached Lena with a warm smile. "Lena, I'm so proud of the progress you've made. Your dedication and hard work are truly inspiring. Keep it up, and you'll be fluent in no time." Lena felt a surge of pride and gratitude. For the first time since arriving in this country, she felt a sense of belonging and the belief that she could truly master the English language. With Miss Garcia's guidance and her own unwavering determination, Lena knew that her journey to fluency was well underway. As the semester progressed, Lena's transformation became increasingly evident. She no longer stumbled over her words or avoided conversations. Instead, she actively sought out opportunities to practice her English, whether it was chatting with classmates, engaging with local shopkeepers, or even volunteering at a community center. Lena's newfound confidence also began to spill over into other areas of her life. She felt more self-assured in her interactions with her family and friends, and she even started exploring new hobbies and interests that she had previously been too shy to pursue. One day, as Lena was walking home from class, she overheard a group of tourists asking for directions. Without hesitation, she approached them and offered to help, confidently providing the necessary information. The tourists were impressed by her fluency and thanked her profusely. As Lena continued on her way, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had come so far, and she knew that it was all thanks to the guidance and support of Miss Garcia, as well as her own unwavering determination to succeed. In that moment, Lena realized that her journey to mastering English was not just about acquiring a new skill. It was about transforming her entire life, opening up a world of new possibilities and connections. With a renewed sense of purpose, she couldn't wait to see what the future had in store. Chapter 3. Mastering the Art of Shadowing. Lena sat in her usual spot in Miss Garcia's English class, her notebook open and her pen poised, ready to dive into the lesson. Today, Miss Garcia had promised to introduce a new language learning technique that could revolutionize Lena's progress. "All right, class," Miss Garcia began, her warm smile putting Lena at ease. "Today, we're going to explore a powerful tool called shadowing. Can anyone tell me what they think this might involve?" Lena listened intently as her classmates offered their guesses. Some suggested it had to do with following someone around, while others thought it might involve imitating a speaker's movements. Lena, however, had a hunch that this technique was more about the art of listening and repeating. "Excellent guesses!" Miss Garcia exclaimed. Shadowing is all about actively listening to and repeating spoken language, word for word. It's a highly effective way to improve your pronunciation, vocabulary, and overall comprehension of English. Lena's eyes widened with excitement. This sounded like exactly what she needed to overcome her struggles with the language. Miss Garcia went on to explain the step-by-step process of shadowing, emphasizing the importance of focus, patience, and consistent practice. The key is to listen closely to a native English speaker, whether it's a recording or a live conversation, and repeat the words as you hear them, Miss Garcia said. Don't worry about understanding the meaning at first. Just focus on mimicking the sounds and rhythm of the language. Lena nodded, already picturing herself in action. She couldn't wait to try this new technique and see the results. "Now, let's put it into practice," Miss Garcia continued, gesturing to the audio equipment in the corner of the room. "I've prepared a short audio clip of a native English speaker. I want you all to listen carefully and shadow the words as you hear them. Don't be afraid to pause and rewind if you need to." As the audio began to play, Lena leaned in, her brow furrowed in concentration. The speaker's voice was clear and steady, and Lena found herself instinctively repeating the words, trying to match the intonation and rhythm. At first, it was a struggle. Lena stumbled over unfamiliar words and found herself lagging behind the speaker. But she refused to give up, pushing herself to keep up with the pace and focus on the task at hand. After several rounds of shadowing the same clip, Lena began to notice a difference. Her pronunciation was becoming more natural, and she was able to anticipate the words before the speaker said them. The rhythm of the language was starting to feel more familiar, and Lena could feel her confidence growing with each passing minute. When Miss Garcia finally paused the audio and asked the class to share their experiences, Lena raised her hand eagerly. "That was really challenging at first," she admitted, "but I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of it. My mouth is moving more naturally, and I can hear the patterns in the language better." Miss Garcia beamed with pride. "Excellent, Lena. That's exactly what we're aiming for. Shadowing takes practice, but it's one of the most powerful tools in language learning. The more you do it, the more your brain will start to internalize the sounds and structures of English." Lena nodded enthusiastically, already mentally planning when she could practice shadowing at home. She knew that mastering this technique wouldn't be easy, but the prospect of steadily improving her English skills filled her with a renewed sense of determination. As the class continued to discuss the benefits of shadowing and share their experiences, Lena couldn't help but feel a growing sense of excitement. This was the breakthrough she had been waiting for, and she was determined to make the most of it. With Miss Garcia's guidance and the support of her classmates, Lena was confident that she could conquer the challenges of learning English. One shadowing session at a time, she would chip away at the barriers that had once seemed so daunting and emerge as a confident, fluent speaker. The road ahead might not be easy, but Lena was more determined than ever to reach her destination. She could already envision the day when she would be able to effortlessly communicate with her English-speaking peers, connect with her new community, and unlock a world of opportunities. And it all started with the simple act of listening and repeating. The art of shadowing. Chapter 4. Connecting through language. As Lena's proficiency in English grew, she found herself increasingly able to engage in conversations and connect with people from diverse backgrounds. The once daunting task of expressing herself had become a source of joy and confidence. One day, as Lena was walking through her neighborhood, she noticed a new family moving into the apartment next door. Summoning her courage, she approached them and introduced herself in English. To her delight, the family members responded warmly, and they soon found themselves in a lively discussion about their respective cultures and experiences. "I'm so glad we got to meet you, Lena," said the father, a kind-looking man with a gentle smile. "It's always nice to have friendly neighbors, especially when you're new to an area." Lena beamed with pride, realizing how far she had come in her language learning journey. "I'm happy to meet you too," she replied, her words flowing with newfound ease. "Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you settle in. I'd love to show you around the neighborhood." The family gratefully accepted Lena's offer, and over the next few weeks, she found herself immersed in a whirlwind of new experiences. She accompanied them to the local market, helping them navigate the unfamiliar stalls and communicate with the vendors. She even invited them to her home for a traditional meal, where they shared stories and laughter, bonding over their shared experiences as immigrants. As Lena's confidence grew, she began to seek out more opportunities to practice her English. She volunteered at a local community center, where she assisted with English language classes and helped new arrivals acclimate to their surroundings. The interactions with her students were both rewarding and educational, as Lena found herself learning from their diverse perspectives and cultural backgrounds. One day, during a break in the class, Lena struck up a conversation with a young woman named Amelia, who had recently moved to the city from a small town. Amelia was struggling with the fast pace of city life and the challenges of navigating a new language and culture. "I feel so lost sometimes," Amelia confided, her eyes filled with a mixture of frustration and longing. "Everything is so different from what I'm used to." Lena nodded empathetically, recalling her own initial struggles. "I know exactly how you feel," she said, placing a reassuring hand on Amelia's arm. "But you're not alone. I've been there, and with time and practice, it does get easier." Lena then proceeded to share some of the strategies she had learned from Miss Garcia, including the shadowing technique and the importance of immersing oneself in the language. Amelia listened intently, her eyes widening with hope and curiosity. "That's amazing, Lena," Amelia exclaimed. "I'd love to try the shadowing technique. Do you think you could help me practice?" Lena eagerly agreed, and the two women spent the rest of the break engaged in a lively exchange, with Lena guiding Amelia through the nuances of pronunciation and vocabulary. As they parted ways, Amelia expressed her gratitude, her face alight with a newfound sense of determination. In the days that followed, Lena continued to seek out opportunities to connect with others through her growing language proficiency. She joined a local book club where she engaged in animated discussions about the latest novels, her once halting words now flowing with confidence. She even landed a part-time job at a local cafe where she delighted in conversing with customers from all walks of life. Each interaction, each new connection, reinforced Lena's belief in the transformative power of language. She had not only mastered the mechanics of English, but had also discovered the ability to bridge cultural divides and forge meaningful relationships. The once daunting challenge of learning a new language had become a gateway to a world of possibilities. As Lena reflected on her journey, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of pride and gratitude. Her determination, coupled with the guidance of Miss Garcia, had transformed her life in ways she could scarcely have imagined. With each passing day, Lena's confidence grew, and she knew that the future held endless opportunities for her to continue exploring and expanding her horizons. Chapter 5. Reflections on the Journey. As Lena sat in her favorite cafe, sipping a warm cup of tea, she couldn't help but reflect on the remarkable journey she had undertaken to master the English language. It had been a challenging path, filled with moments of frustration and self-doubt, but also with a deep sense of accomplishment and personal growth. Lena remembered the early days, when even the simplest conversations felt like an insurmountable obstacle. The words would often get tangled on her tongue, and she would find herself struggling to convey her thoughts and feelings. The embarrassment and isolation she felt during those times had been overwhelming, but she had refused to give up. With the unwavering support and guidance of her teacher, Miss Garcia, Lena had slowly but surely chipped away at the barriers that had once seemed so daunting. The shadowing technique, which Miss Garcia had introduced, had been a game changer. Lena had initially found it frustrating as she stumbled over the unfamiliar sounds and rhythms of the language. But she had persisted, determined to master the technique and unlock the secrets of English pronunciation. As Lena reflected on those early days, she marveled at the progress she had made. The once foreign words now flowed more naturally from her lips, and she found herself engaging in conversations with ease. The sense of accomplishment she felt was palpable, and it fueled her desire to continue learning and growing. One of the most profound realizations for Lena was the power of language to connect people from diverse backgrounds. She had always known that language was more than just a means of communication. But it wasn't until she had truly immersed herself in English that she understood its true transformative potential. Through her newfound language skills, Lena had been able to forge meaningful connections with people she would have otherwise struggled to reach. She recalled the joy she felt when she could finally understand and respond to her neighbors, or the sense of belonging she experienced when she could participate in discussions at her workplace. Language is the bridge that connects us, Lena mused as she gazed out the cafe window. It allows us to share our stories, our dreams, and our struggles with one another. And when we can communicate freely, the world suddenly feels a little bit smaller, a little bit more accessible. Lena's thoughts then turned to the invaluable role that Miss Garcia had played in her journey. The teacher's patience, creativity, and unwavering belief in Lena's abilities had been instrumental in her transformation. Lena remembered the countless times Miss Garcia had encouraged her, pushed her to try new techniques, and celebrated her small victories. Miss Garcia didn't just teach me English, Lena said, a warm smile spreading across her face. She taught me the power of perseverance, the importance of embracing challenges, and the joy of learning. She saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself, and she helped me unlock my full potential. As Lena sipped her tea, she contemplated the practical tips and strategies she had gained throughout her language learning journey. She knew that her experiences could be valuable for others who were facing similar challenges, and she felt a growing desire to share her story and insights. I want to inspire others, to show them that learning a new language is not an impossible feat, Lena said, her eyes shining with determination. With the right mindset, the right tools, and the support of a dedicated teacher, anything is possible. Lena's reflections were interrupted by the chime of the cafe's door, and she looked up to see a group of her friends entering the cozy space. She waved them over, eager to engage in the lively conversation that was sure to follow. As they approached, Lena couldn't help but marvel at how far she had come and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. This is just the beginning, Lena thought to herself, taking a deep breath and embracing the future with open arms. The world is waiting, and I'm ready to explore it, one word at a time.